Respect is not something that can be asked for or given casually. It is something that must be earned, built through actions and decisions that leave no room for doubt. In a world where politeness is often mistaken for genuine admiration, where tolerance is confused with respect, the truth is painfully clear. Respect is not a gift, it is a force to be imposed. Too many people wander through life thinking that kindness, generosity, or compromise will win them the respect they seek. But a hard truth is that respect arises not from being liked or seeking approval, but from being someone whose presence commands attention and whose boundaries are non-negotiable. When you allow others to treat you as disposable, when you bend to their will to avoid conflict, you set the stage for being tolerated, not respected. People smile at you out of politeness, listen out of obligation, but deep down, they know that your absence would not cause the world to miss a beat. They know that you have not established yourself as someone whose presence is necessary, whose actions are decisive, and whose authority is absolute. And that is where the problem lies. To be respected, you must set clear boundaries and enforce them without hesitation, without second-guessing. True respect, as Machiavelli understood, is built on the foundation of authority, predictability, and consistency. It is not won through gestures of kindness or the pursuit of validation. It is forged in the cold, unyielding presence of someone who is not afraid to impose limits and consequences. The most respected individuals are those who make it clear that their time, their energy, and their presence are not to be taken for granted. And when you learn to build respect not by seeking it, but by setting the stage for it to be earned, you will find that no one will dare to disrespect you again. This is the lesson that Machiavelli imparted. Respect is not given, it is taken, and it is taken by those who understand that the most profound form of power is the one that requires no explanation, no justification. It is the power that comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what happens when others cross the line. This is the art of commanding respect, the art of making sure that, after today, no one will dare to disrespect you again. 1. The weakness of tolerance. Tolerance is often mistaken for respect, but they are two entirely different things. Tolerance is an act of putting up with something, an acceptance that does not come from admiration or recognition of worth, but rather from a lack of immediate confrontation. Tolerance is passive. It doesn't require any effort to maintain. It simply exists. People tolerate things because it's easier to tolerate than to challenge or confront them, and that's precisely why it's not respect. It's merely the absence of conflict. People tolerate your presence because they can, because you have not made it clear that your presence should demand anything more. Many people, especially those who have been taught to be accommodating and forgiving, mistakenly believe that being tolerated is a form of respect. They believe that a smile, a nod, or the occasional friendly greeting is the acknowledgement of their value, but true respect is earned through actions that cause others to recognize your boundaries, your presence, and your worth, not through the avoidance of discomfort. When people tolerate you, it means they can walk all over your principles without fear of consequence, because your presence doesn't threaten their positions. This is where the danger lies. If you live your life hoping to be tolerated rather than respected, you are, in effect, living on borrowed time. The world will continue without you if you disappear, because no one will miss the power of your influence. No one will mourn the loss of your presence, because it has never been substantial enough to matter. Real authority, the kind that earns respect, comes from being irreplaceable. Being someone whose actions speak louder than your words, whose presence demands recognition, and whose boundaries are not flexible. The truth is simple. Tolerance weakens you. It gives others the illusion of control over you, and in turn, it strips you of the power to make an impact. Tolerating others' behavior, tolerating situations that disempower you, Tolerating disrespect ultimately leads to being invisible in the grand scheme of things. If you want respect, you cannot afford to be a passive participant in your own life. You must demand respect by making your value undeniable and your limits clear. People will only respect you when they know that crossing your boundaries will bring consequences. Tolerance, on the other hand, allows people to walk all over you without facing any repercussions. So stop tolerating the treatment you do not deserve. Stop pretending that politeness is the same as respect. You must set your boundaries and make them known. In doing so, you will stop being a tolerated figure and become a respected one, someone whose presence alone demands recognition. 2. The strategy of fear and consistency. Respect is often rooted in fear, but not the kind of fear that is born from intimidation or cruelty. The most powerful form of fear is the kind that comes from unpredictability, the fear of the unknown. People respect you when they know with certainty that breaking your boundaries will lead to inevitable consequences. This strategy does not require you to act impulsively or with rage. It is a cool, calculated approach that shows your strength not through words or violent actions, but through consistency. To build respect, you must first establish firm, unwavering boundaries. These boundaries must be defined so clearly that others understand exactly what is at stake when they cross them. There must be no ambiguity, no exceptions, and no room for negotiation. When your actions are predictable, others will fear crossing you because they know exactly what will happen if they do. This fear is not born from terror but from a rational understanding that you will not bend or make exceptions. Predictability in your actions creates a sense of inevitability. When people understand that violating your boundaries will result in consequences, they will respect you because they know they cannot afford to cross you. This is the beauty of consistency. Consistency builds trust and respect. People learn to anticipate your reactions, not because you scream or act violently, but because you show up in the same way every time. You don't vacillate between moods or make exceptions based on who is in front of you. You don't negotiate your values for temporary gains or seek approval. Instead, you act with a quiet strength that makes people realize that they can rely on you, not because you are lenient, but because you are firm. In a world full of chaos and change, consistency provides a rare sense of stability. And when people are surrounded by uncertainty, they begin to look for something they can rely on. This is where you, as a person who embodies consistency, step in. By being predictable in your actions and decisions, you become a cornerstone in their lives, a person who is unwavering in your authority and your presence. This consistency will not be ignored. It will command respect because it gives people something concrete to hold on to. But consistency does not come without its challenges. It requires immense self-discipline and the ability to resist the urge to please others, to give in to their demands or adjust to their expectations. People will try to test your boundaries, and they will challenge your predictability. The true test of your authority lies in your ability to remain consistent, even in the face of pressure or temptation. It is in those moments that your strength will be most evident. When you maintain your position without hesitation, you reinforce your authority. And in doing so, you ensure that respect, rather than tolerance, is what you receive from others. 3. The power of predictability. Predictability is not about being rigid or unchanging. Rather, it is about being dependable. It's about being someone others can count on to respond in a consistent manner, to act in alignment with your values, and to make decisions that are clear and resolute. People respect individuals who are predictable because they know that when something happens, they can trust that the response will be both fair and in line with established expectations. In a world where so many are driven by impulse and emotions, predictability is a rare and highly valued trait. Predictability creates an atmosphere of trust, and trust is the cornerstone of respect. If people cannot predict how you will react to a situation, if you are inconsistent in your decisions or your actions, they will begin to question your authority. And when authority is questioned, respect fades. People need to feel secure around you, and that security comes from knowing what to expect. When you are predictable, they can rely on you to follow through, to keep your word, and to uphold your boundaries. This is what builds true respect, your ability to act consistently, no matter the circumstances, and to do so without hesitation. However, predictability doesn't mean you should become a robot, responding in the same way to every situation. Predictability comes from remaining true to your principles, your core values, and your identity, no matter what external pressures you face. You can adapt to different situations, but your fundamental approach to life should remain the same. People should always know what they are getting with you. Your actions should reflect your values, your decisions should be rooted in your principles, and your presence should be unshakable. There is power in being predictable because it signals to others that you are a force they cannot ignore. They may not agree with you, they may not always like you, but they will respect you because they know you are unwavering. Your predictability shows that you cannot be manipulated, that your boundaries are set in stone, and that your decisions are not influenced by emotions or the opinions of others. People respect authority that is consistent and reliable, not one that shifts with the tide of the moment. To build respect through predictability, you must resist the temptation to be swayed by outside influences. Stand firm in your values, in your actions, and in your decisions. If you want others to respect you, show them through your behavior that you are someone who cannot be moved, who cannot be swayed by emotional appeals, and who is not afraid to make difficult decisions. Predictability, when done correctly, will not only earn you respect, but will also establish you as someone who commands authority wherever you go. 4. The art of the unspoken consequence. The most powerful form of authority is often the one that speaks the least. Words can be persuasive and actions are necessary, but there is a deeper, more profound way to establish respect: the unspoken consequence. This form of authority does not rely on threats or emotional outbursts. It works silently, but it is felt with unmistakable clarity. It is the power of withdrawal, of silence, and of knowing that your absence, your refusal to engage, is far more powerful than any verbal reprimand. When you enforce your boundaries with silence and action rather than words, you send a clear message. You are not to be taken lightly. This type of authority is rare and deeply effective because it removes any room for negotiation. It's an understanding that when you choose to remove yourself from a situation, whether it be leaving a conversation, stepping away from a relationship, or cutting off someone who has disrespected you, it is not a cry for attention or a moment of weakness. It is a calculated act, one that speaks louder than any words ever could. People who are respected do not need to shout. They do not need to beg for attention, and they do not need to seek validation. Instead, their actions, particularly their ability to remove themselves from any situation that disrespects them, demand respect. When you withdraw, you leave a void. That emptiness will force people to reckon with their behavior, for they will understand that your absence is not negotiable. It is the harsh reality that those who fail to honor you may never again enjoy the privilege of your time or presence. The unspoken consequence is powerful because it highlights the cost of disrespect. It sends a message that is not filled with rage or drama, but is understood on a much deeper level. People who have been dismissed or excluded by you will quickly realize that they have lost more than just a conversation or an opportunity. They have lost access to your time, energy, and influence, something far more valuable. And that loss will resonate far longer than any angry words or threats. Yet, the ability to enforce this form of authority requires a high level of self-discipline and clarity. You must be firm in your resolve, unwavering in your boundaries, and unwilling to compromise your principles. The most respected people are the ones who can take action without explanation, who can remove themselves from situations with grace and without drama. Their power lies in their silence, in the strength of their decisions, and in their unyielding belief that their time and presence are worth more than any superficial engagement. 5. Redemption with a price. Redemption is a powerful tool in the arsenal of leadership. It is a way of showing that you believe in the potential for change, that you offer an opportunity for growth, and that you value the people around you enough to give them a chance to correct their mistakes. But redemption is not unlimited, nor should it be given out freely. If you offer second chances to everyone without consequences, you risk weakening your authority and allowing your respect to be undermined. One of the core principles of Machiavelli's teachings is the idea that respect must be earned, and once it is broken, it should be difficult, if not impossible, to regain. Offering redemption with too many chances dilutes its power. True redemption comes with a price. The first mistake is forgiven, but the second is not. Once someone crosses a line, the second chance is offered as a final opportunity. This is a critical element of building respect. People must understand that their actions have consequences, and if they take that opportunity for granted, they will lose the privilege of your trust and influence. When you offer redemption, it must be with the understanding that there is no room for further mistakes. This creates a sense of urgency and importance. Those who fail you will know that there is a finite window for correction, and once it closes, there will be no way back. People respect those who offer redemption, but they respect even more those who offer it once and only once. The lesson is clear. If you want respect, you must set high standards and hold people accountable for their actions. This doesn't mean you should approach redemption with cruelty or harshness. It simply means that you are unwilling to tolerate repeated failures. You value your time, your energy, and your trust too much to give it away freely. Those who are truly deserving of your respect will rise to the occasion, learn from their mistakes, and prove that they can be trusted. Those who are not will show their true colors, and it is at this point that you must act decisively. People will respect you more when they know that you stand by your word and that your decisions are not negotiable. The act of offering redemption is not a weakness. It is a sign of your strength. It shows that you are willing to give others a chance to prove themselves, but it also reinforces the idea that your standards cannot be lowered. You are not a doormat. You are someone whose approval is earned, not given. And once you set this precedent, you will begin to build a reputation as someone whose respect is not easy to obtain, but is immensely valuable once achieved. 6. The importance of self-control. Self-control is one of the most important virtues of leadership and respect. It is the ability to maintain your composure, to stay true to your principles, and to resist the urge to react impulsively when confronted with challenges. Those who are respected are the ones who have mastered self-control, who can stand firm in the face of adversity without being swayed by emotions or external pressures. They are not quick to anger, nor do they let their emotions dictate their decisions. In the world of leadership and authority, emotions can be a dangerous liability. Reacting impulsively, whether in anger, frustration, or fear, weakens your position and undermines the respect you've worked so hard to build. Leaders who act out of emotion are often seen as unpredictable and unreliable. Their decisions may be driven by feelings rather than logic, and this makes it difficult for others to trust them. On the other hand, leaders who demonstrate self-control convey an aura of steadiness and strength. They are not easily rattled, and their decisions are made with clarity and consistency. Self-control is also about setting the tone for your own actions. It's about knowing that your behavior is a reflection of your values and your authority. When you make decisions based on principles rather than impulses, you set an example for others to follow. People respect those who maintain their composure and who do not let external press Ures dictate their actions. This kind of leadership is not about being cold or detached. It's about being steady, reliable, and consistent. It's about maintaining your integrity even when it would be easier to give in to temptation or to compromise your values. Leaders who master self-control are able to make decisions that are in line with their long-term goals, rather than being swayed by short-term emotions or desires. They are not afraid to stand alone, to make difficult choices, and down to enforce their principles even when it is unpopular. And because of this, they earn the respect of those around them. Self-control is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of immense strength. It shows that you are in control of your own actions and that your respect is not something that is easily lost or manipulated. 7. The value of scarcity. In a world that is constantly demanding more attention, more availability, and more engagement, scarcity becomes a form of power. People respect what they cannot always have, and when you make yourself too available, you lose your value. If you are always there for others, always eager to please, always available for every plan or conversation, you will eventually become a background figure in their lives. People will treat you like an accessory, something they can take or leave whenever it suits them. The key to building respect is to become scarce. This does not mean you should isolate yourself from others or become unreachable. It means you should be selective with your time and energy. You must choose where to invest your resources and when to step back and let others come to you. By making your presence more valuable through scarcity, you begin to command attention and respect. People will no longer take you for granted because they will understand that your time and energy are precious. Scarcity creates value, and value creates respect. When you are constantly available, your value diminishes because people begin to see you as an easy resource to be accessed at will. But when you make yourself more scarce, you increase your perceived value. People will begin to see you as someone whose presence is a privilege, not an obligation. They will respect you more because they will realize that your time is not to be wasted or taken for granted. By becoming more selective with your availability, you also force others to raise their standards. If you are not available all the time, if you don't respond immediately to every request, you signal to others that they must respect your time and space. This is a powerful tool for maintaining your authority and building respect. You don't need to constantly chase after people or make yourself available to everyone. Instead, let others come to you when they realize that your time and attention are not freely given. In doing so, you will command respect, not because you demand it, but because you make it clear that you are not to be treated as a commodity. Respect is not something you can demand with words or win through flattery. It is not a prize to be won, but a position to be earned, built over time through consistency, authority, and unwavering boundaries. The truth is clear. Those who command respect do not seek it. They do not beg for attention or negotiate their worth. Instead, they embody strength, consistency, and the power to enforce limits that others dare not cross. As Machiavelli taught, respect is rooted in predictability. It is the silent knowledge that breaking your boundaries will lead to consequences that are certain, inevitable, and non-negotiable. This understanding is what creates real power, the kind that earns you respect without the need for constant validation. People respect those whose actions align with their values, whose decisions are firm and unchanging, and whose presence demands recognition. But the journey to earning true respect is not without its challenges. It requires you to stand firm even when the world pushes against you. It demands that you hold fast to your principles, even when it is easier to compromise. It tests your self-control, your ability to resist the urge to please, and your commitment to your boundaries. And when you can do this, when you can remain steadfast in your actions and decisions, respect will no longer be something you chase. It will be something that is given to you, not because you begged for it, but because you earn it. In the end, the power to command respect lies not in what you say or how you act in the moment, but in the strength you show in maintaining your standards. It lies in your ability to be consistent, to be predictable, and to act with an authority that cannot be swayed. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to explain to be understood. Your actions will speak for you, and your presence will command the respect of those around you. So ask yourself, are you willing to stand firm in your decisions? Are you prepared to uphold your boundaries, no matter the cost? Because once you make the choice to stop seeking validation, to stop compromising your values, you will find that respect is not only possible, it is inevitable. And with it, no one will dare to disrespect you again. The power to command respect is yours for the taking. Will you claim it?